I'm doing the stone carving.
I'm doing the pottery wheel. Yep.
And the earth building. No, we'd heard about it for years, but it's just a matter of always driving past it.
I'm here for earth building. I've wanted to do one for a while, and I knew that they've been doing it here every year. And, I didn't know about the quarry though. I had no idea it existed. I have a background in normal building, and I got sick of that, so I tried something different.
We've had quite a bit of interest in people wanting to learn the basics of centering clay and making pieces on the wheel. So it's a thing that most people can learn if they want to learn it. And once you learn the skills, then you can look at the more creative aspects of using a wheel. We take the students through the various processes. The sort of first important aspect is to get the clay wedged properly. Wedging is the kneading. The next thing is to get it on the wheel and start centering the clay. And this seems to be something that always takes a little while for people, and it's probably the most frustrating thing for them. Invariably, when you get a class like this to teach, most people arrive and usually they've had some of them had a little bit of experience and some haven't. You do have to approach each person on an individual basis. I just start them off throwing very simple bowls, which is probably the most simple piece of work that a potter can do. And once people can learn to throw something like that, they can go on to maybe something larger, a bigger jug or bottle form, that sort of thing. Yeah. We'll do a raku firing, and we might glaze some other pots as well to do in a stoneware firing. The raku firing is a very quick fire technique, and it's very good for showing people something about the nature of glazes as they're being fired, because you can actually look into the kiln and see the glazes working.
In some ways it would have to be the ultimate challenge to bring a bit of stone to life, really. I mean, petrified to life. I mean, it's a wonderful thing to do, really. And an ultimate challenge for a sculptor, really. Well, I suppose most of them come here because they feel they have some sort of facility in three-dimensional work. So what I've tried to give them is a bit of control over their medium, really, so that you have a vision, you want to realise it, you realise it the way you see it, not the way you saw it, but because the rock was this and the rock was that, it changed to this, this and this. So it's basically about controlling your medium. So that was my approach. So I wanted to give them the confidence to be able to create a piece that they imagined, the way they imagined it.
You see, we can do it. We can cut that off, right? Yeah. And then we can cut down there, like that.
What I'm trying to do is to scale this model into this block.
But you see, all the real artists in making their models that they've been doing yesterday and today in the clay, because once you've made your maquette, decided what your design is, then it's just technique pulling it out of the rock.
You wouldn't put it part of the way and then hit it?
Oh, yeah, you could break that off. They're using an Oamaru stone that's a soft limestone, but it's very good for people to learn on. Obviously, as you can see, they cut it with a handsaw. With woodworking tools can work on this stone. So for a beginner, it's perfect, because they can actually achieve something, whereas with marble, of course, it takes a lot more energy and skill and technique to work a hard stone.
Yeah, that looks better, eh?
Fairly close to the original design. So that was the exercise, I'm pleased. Yeah. Good.
Why build with earth? Because it works and is better for the planet and better for you.
It's eco-friendly, it's sustainable, there's lots and lots of earth to be used. It's a low energy material, there's very little embodied energy in it. A lot of the building materials we do use today have a lot of embodied energies, and it's a cheap and user-friendly material. And it also makes for healthier homes. It's also good to build with for owner builders because it's a very forgiving material. It's simple. You don't need a great accuracy to fit it, such as you would need with sheet materials such as plywood, chipboard.
Yeah, nice.
It always appealed to my sort of low-tech, do-it-yourself type nature. And it also happens to be a material now which fits extremely well within any environmental consideration you tend to push at it. So, I mean, it's a very old, ancient form of building. These days it makes remarkably good sense environmentally. And it does, it's one of the few building materials which enables people to build extremely lovely sort of artistic buildings for themselves.
Now we're getting to the stage where people are interested again in the old techniques because they work and they're much friendlier on the planet, and you can produce a very comfortable house to live in. They're learning how to build themselves a house out of earth, basically. We learn how to find a suitable mix from the ground to build with.
With pulped up paper in clay, there's straw or hay in clay, and there's a hay, clay and gravel mix as well, and a shredded paper. Well, they'll put in the concrete mixer, the paper first with the paper ones, and then the clay mixed up, and then put in a tin mould. Now they're drying, yeah.
And the ones that are drying out faster are the ones with the straw in it, or the hay, and these ones that have got the paper pulp in it, they're much slower to dry out. Yeah. We learn how to test it. In New Zealand we have a code. We're, I think, the first country in the world to actually have a building code for earth building.
We want to mix that where the big stones and the aggregates are touching, and then the gaps are filled with the silts, the fine sands, the silts and the clay. Just try to see if you can crush it with your fingers or not. Just make a whole lot of different batches
and
test them all.
And write it.
And learning how to achieve peace and enlightenment through shoveling.
Well, once they leave the course, I'd say they're quite capable of starting building.
The course I'm teaching is flax weaving, or mahi korari as we say, flax work, or some people say raranga, which is weaving. We're learning a lot of the tikanga, which are the customs, you know, how to give thanks to for the gift of flax, how to cut it, how to look after it, and how to feel comfortable with using it, and learning just the basic, I say we're learning the basics, but when I look down and see they've gone beyond, virtually the rhythm of weaving by you doing little putty like this to get our hands going. And we're just doing a basic flower, putty, and we're doing just a simple one. I'm just saying every one they make is unique because they never come out the same. Making bracelets to get that rhythm and trying different ideas, letting them choose and be happy in the discovery of colour and new ways of doing things. Do you want to have it go that way?
Yes.
The shoulder?
It can be like just attached there, not down.
Learning different styles, making the big waikawa, which just means that just going to the beach, picking the whole flax, using the whole leaf, and ending up with a very useful basket. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, and 4 and 4 are going to go around behind each other and make a corner. Because that went under, it has to go over. All right? So now it's going under, so it's got to go over. Oh, you just keep, I'm not allowed to tell her now. No. I take people where they're at. I wouldn't burden somebody who's already gone through the basics. I would want to move them on, because that's how I'd want to be taught. Well, Carolyn has already done the basics of weaving, and she's now wants to do some colouring. She learned how to look at the ends yesterday so that she can plait it, and she's going to make a kete similar to the one on the display there behind us. Bring it in. Next one coming out this way. Do the like say 1, 2. The other side.
So they're good quality ones. When if I have them, I'll use them.
Yeah, Jane said that.
I think everyone here has some background as a painter, and basically they're here because they want to help develop their own particular art practice, and I facilitate that. They're doing whatever they like.
A Chinese lady with several arms.
Some of us have got terrific ambitions and some of us just want to get on with it.
Detail here. Right. Feel this bit here with your thumb. What do you think? There's a pattern.
It's that sandpaper.
Yeah, but there's actually a pattern if you feel really carefully.
Well, Gauguin said I shut my eyes in order to see, so this is about changing the sense ratio. This is about approaching the world through touch rather than sight, and it's about breaking down barriers of inhibition about making marks. Through endeavour you're going to discover something, and then you're going to have to resolve what it is you've discovered, come to some kind of resolution with it. What happened this morning is I set you an exercise, and well really you're all such individuals, you're all interpreting it in a different way. Go for it, do it, just follow your intuition. So leave alone what you like, it's working, and keep
working on the other. Okay.
Going.
I actually adore it.
Yeah, so put one shade of paint on. You may have all these wonderful ideas in your head, but if you don't know how to work the brush, then it's not much use, or the different sorts of brushes. So I taught them through like brush theory, right from those big flat washy sort of numbers to the round ones, to the ones that actually really push and paint, freeing them up to use their hands or their back of their brush or something that they found around that makes a wonderful mark. It's good to have rules, and then you know how to, or know how things work, and then play around with them and break them. They've got all their own stories that they want to do, like either they've done it painting for a hobby and they just want to get better, or they're looking at creative industry sort of careers. It's just a different way of expressing yourself. They're at that sort of individual style sort of phase now. Muddy is just playing around with colours, and she's done portraits and landscapes and a bit of abstract, and she's going to try doing some rectilinear patterning next. Like that's Henery and the concrete mixer. So that's the earth building people. And so he pushes paint around like that, so getting them to look at the undercoat as being like the grounding, like the background. Sixth form, just finished the sixth form. So she's got a drawing that she did in 2004 of her like family property down in Marlborough Sounds. Now she's going to give it a go, putting it into colour. This is Jane, my prolific one that loves pushing paint around, but has so many projects on the go she doesn't know where to look.
It's a sculpture course with clay as the medium. However, the course focus is to get people into their own work, not to just look for ideas out there or plagiarise ideas off other creative people, not to go to books but to go back into themselves. We're working through a creative process called the seed. They've been able to access experience in their life, and they've chosen one experience, and from that to bring forward a piece that talks to and from that experience. Probably the most complex And yet the simplest thing to do is to be truthful to yourself. But it's pretty difficult in this life, and a lot of people can't bring who they really are to the surface, you know? Yeah. And it's not much now either. And in this workshop it's about encouraging and giving others confidence to bring forward their story.
So this little creature that I'm creating now is carrying the seed actually to a place I'm not quite sure of, because that's where Mike takes us. He takes us to places in our creativity we haven't been before.
I'm just mixing two different types, well actually several different types of clay. In this workshop what everybody has done is wedge their clay together, so that in a workshop of 14 people we've kind of got numerous clays from all around the country. You can see the different colours of clay in there. And why clay? Well, there's no more primal a medium. You know, we are the clay. You know, dust to dust, some say. The clay has come from stone and weathered through millions of years to become clay, and then we are given this living organism to shape in the likeness of our story and our feelings, and then we bring forward that shape and we put it through fire and it goes back to stone. And you're dealing with water, with earth, with the breath of life, and with fire, so it's a pretty powerful alchemy, you know, it's quite dangerous stuff. That's us here. Okay, here, just here, sort of. We come in like this, watch, go in.
Well, we're building a teepee kiln. So all our pots are in the bottom and wood stacked up there. The pots are all in there wrapped up in sulphates to give it a bit of flush and colour. So when it goes, wow.
That's it. Okay, we'll have a whole lot of smoke and joes going. Okay, start. That all of the students, you know, we were talking about, they made a seed piece and then a covenant, and so that seed and that covenant is in this big covenant, you know, that they've all created. So it's sort of a microcosm and a macrocosm of your story, you know.